And just for context, I should say, so you said that you were stripped of your platform and told that you were having your passport taken.
But I was still on TV.
You were still on TV.
Yeah.
And that was, that was like on the second to last day of Bolsonaro's presidency. I mean, he had been declared the loser in the election.
Right.
But nothing had even happened. Is that correct?
Nothing happened, and I stayed on air. But on January 8th, the revolt happened in Brazil, the protests, the demonstrations. And on January 9th, the Department of Justice opened an investigation against the TV station that I worked for. And when they did that, the owners panicked, and they had to fire all the conservative commentators and only the conservative commentators from the station. And they used to be number one in terms of viewership. And of course, now they're not doing well because they lost. You know what happens with the.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. When they get rid of their stars, right? And that's what happened in Brazil. And then I was let go, and I opened new social media platform profiles that were shut down as well. And I've been opening new ones all the time. It's like my new YouTube channel already has 200,000 subscribers, and people, they block it. And then I open a new one and people resubscribe.
But you've never, just to be clear, you've never been charged with a crime?
Oh no, I haven't even been called to depose or anything. I've never received any communication from the Brazilian government.
How can the U.S. State Department not say anything about this?
Well, because they sponsored it, right? The U.S. State Department sponsored what's happening in Brazil. So they're co-responsible. The United States is, let me put it bluntly, the United States is co-responsible to what's happening in Brazil right now.
It's such a shocking story.
It is, and it's not covered by the mainstream media in the United States at all because they're accomplices of what's happening. The New York Times, they pretend nothing is happening. They wrote a couple of pieces against Demorais, but very mild, and they're not reporting what's happening.
But if they take one of the most famous journalists in a huge country, I'm not sure Americans understand how big Brazil is. It's like the United States.
220 million people.
Yeah, 220 million with massive area and
as big as territorial the continental United States.
Exactly. So it's not an insignificant place.
No.
I mean, it's not Suriname. I don't understand how the new government can shut down a journalist because they don't like his opinions,
Not
strip
one
him of his passport, and the U.S. State Department doesn't say anything.
Well, not one journalist. We have at least 3 journalists. Actually, there's the case of a podcaster. It was kind of like Joe Rogan in Brazil. This very liberal guy.
Yeah.
That was taken down as well, and he's living in the U.S. under asylum. And we have I would say we have dozens of Brazilians living on political asylum in the United States right now. It wasn't my case because I was already here, but many others, yes. You have Alan dos Santos, is unbelievable, his story. He was kind of like our Alex Jones in Brazil, more vocal.
Yes.
But still, he has the right of his opinions. I didn't agree with him all the time. And they shut down his channel. It was a big company by then, had a studio, everything. The federal police raided his house with his wife pregnant, pointing guns at him. It was a nightmare. And we're talking about a guy who was like a family man. And he has been living here in the United States. And there's an open arrest warrant. He was on Interpol Red Notice list right now.
For what?
For a crime of opinion. For the terms they use are misinformation and attacking the institutions. But when I say, well, attacking means criticizing, right? You're public officials. It's my duty as a journalist to criticize you.
You work for us.
Yes,
yeah.
You work for us. I don't work for you. So, but that's what happened to him. And there's Rodrigo Constantino. It was my colleague, same station, also lots of viewers. And
what American journalists, these defenders of press freedom, have said anything about this?
Except for Glenn Greenwald.
Yes, who lives there.
He lives there in Brazil. And except for him, he's on the left. You know him very well. He was always on your show. But he was the only one that spoke anything about it.
Do you worry about him?
Well, I think he should, and he should be worried. Although I think the government of Brazil would be more cautious meddling with a United States citizen. And Glenn,
but Glenn won't pull back.
I don't think so. I think he's very well. He exposed the NSA and the CIA, right?
Yeah.
So he's very brave.
And last question: how did you wind up in the United States? So this happened to you.
So I actually left Brazil when Dilma Rousseff, the lady that
Yeah.
succeeded Lula on his first time, when she got reelected, and I'm out of here. My wife was pregnant. I didn't want to stay there and raise my kids in Brazil anymore because I knew what was going to happen. And then we were lucky because we had Jair Bolsonaro winning, and
Yeah.
the country started going in a good direction. But we kind of knew the establishment wouldn't let that happen for a long time, right?
So having lived through this, what do you think of the U.S. presidential election now in progress? You cover American politics, I should say, also.
Well, it's a moment of decision for the whole Western world because I don't think there's a way Joe Biden can win fair and square. It can be president if 80% of the country think you're too old and you're a large percentage of the country thinks he's mentally ill, maybe
He's senile.
senile, like
Yeah.
whatever the Department of Justice says.
Yeah.
And you can't win a presidential race unless
You cheat.
you cheat, it's not a fair and square election. So what I think is going on right now for the whole world is the whole world's watching. If people still matters in any way, Trump will be elected. If the establishment has all the power and democracy is dead in the Western world, and it was a good run. We had a good run for like a little over 200 years. That's very rare in the history. You study history, you know how
Yes.
rare that is. Then democracy is dead. And I can tell that because this is exactly what happened in Brazil. And what's going on more and more and more, and you see that, is that the powers are shifting from the people to the courts, what people call juristocracy, not a democracy anymore, which is a great thing for globalists if you think about it. Well, let's say you want to change something. In a democratic country, you have to pass a bill in Congress, and then the Senate needs to approve it, and the president needs to sanction it. And so if you're a billionaire, a progressive billionaire, and you have many here in the United States, and you want to change something in the society, let's say make the society more open, you have two options. Either you go through the very, very difficult democratic process.
Yes, tedious.
Yeah, it's very hard to control all that. And I think the founding fathers knew that, and that's why they made it this way. You can do that, or you can, well, let's say you get 6 Supreme Court, just 5, and then you can, I don't know, make abortion legal all over the country. It has been done. It has been done before. So if you're a globalist, powerful elite, you can circumvent democracy and go straight to the judiciary. And that's exactly what happened in Brazil. And it can happen here. That's most living. I've been living here for 10 years. I can tell. The reality that we're living in Brazil is not that far away from America, as you think. You guys think, oh my God, we've been a democracy for hundreds of years. And no. You think if you had like 6 Supreme Court justices that were progressive, appointed by Obama or Michelle Obama or who knows? What, you think your Supreme Court would be zealous about the Constitution? Really? If you told me 5 years ago that Brazil would be in this situation, I would say, get out of here. Nah, that's too much. They're not going to arrest a mainstream media journalist, take his passport. They've done it. It happened fast, very fast.
Well, you've wrecked my day.